I think that I can reconcile the shipping without the receipts.
Yeah, I have the receipts. I save them every time.
So you have them anyway.
Yeah,
So it's just a matter of sending it. If the CRA asks for the receipts, we can just send them the receipts.
yeah, but we're not filing anything. We're just giving them money.
Yeah.
The filing doesn't come till the end of the month or
So
the end of the year.
whenever I've been audited, just for auditing, I've been putting the receipts in with the reconciliation.
Yeah,
But whenever I've been audited, they've only asked for my top 10 expenses.
yeah.
So that will never be a shipping item.
Hmm.
I don't think, because we have
Yeah,
so many big inventory purchases.
yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to the live broadcast. My name is Josh. Good to see you all. Today is another day, and you got a little bit behind the scenes there where we are talking about some changes that are happening. Is my hat on crooked? How do I do this there? Does that look better? I don't know. We're talking a little bit about taxes. It looks like we might have to file monthly now, so that's a big change, and we're just kind of strategizing over what we're going to do with that. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to switch over to the live chat, and we are going to talk about what's going on, what's not going on. Yeah, I knew I was live, Missy. I had to wrap that up. It's a conversation we need to have because it's a change, and I start this podcast with what's changed. And what's changed for us in the past 24 hours. So Spencer is off today. She has something with her family, so she's not working today. We have been in contact with our accountants for a number of reasons. Number one, we are looking at some pretty big acquisitions. So we're discussing, nothing is for sure, but we're looking at some pretty big acquisitions and having those discussions. That's over to our team to kind of look at that and see if that is something that we should be pursuing or not. So those discussions are happening. And also the taxes. So we have to file monthly now. It's because we've hit a certain revenue threshold last year. So now we're required to file monthly. So we really have to be on top of our books because we're remitting monthly to our accountant as well. That's not the end of the world. It's a lot more work, but it does force us to stay on top of our books. So I'm okay with that. And it seems like Dave is okay with that too. So moving forward, that's something we might have to do this month. The rest of this month and April are going to be exceptionally busy. Monday, I'm going to Detroit to meet with someone, hoping I can maybe film the live content there for this video. And I have to do my own personal taxes as well. And I was kind of afraid that that would include a massive capital gains tax, but I think that that is going to be deferred till next year. So thankful for that. It gives me some time to kind of strategize and optimize my tax strategy with that and maybe speak to my accountant, because there was at the beginning of the year a bit of a windfall for me personally. Inventory wise. So we are low on inventory. We are continuously updating and training our systems. This is the artificial intelligence. And we require a large lot of inventory. We have been offered to acquire a large business, a very large business, and we're sitting with that, and that's going to sit with the CEO and our development team, and we're going to kind of look and see if that is something that we should be pursuing. It's a fair bit of capital allocation, so we really have to see if that is something that's going to work for us or not. We're not really sure. I spoke with Corey over the phone yesterday for about an hour and a half, Corey from Grams and Pops Vintage, and we discussed should we start a business podcast together as kind of a side project. So selfishly, that podcast would be us reaching outside of the eBay network and talking to business leaders, people who've grown their businesses, who are operating at a level much higher than ours, and us building our network and learning from them. Like, what did you do to get to this level? Who do you know? Who should I talk to? So the two of us thought, hey, wouldn't that be an interesting podcast if we reached out to a lot of these people And to be fair, I have a lot of those people inside my network, but I can't really bring them onto an eBay podcast. So we would have to kind of operate outside of eBay. And then if you were in the eBay community, you would hopefully, enjoy something like that. But that would be really gauged towards all entrepreneurs, not just eBay entrepreneurs. So we spoke about that. And I think really we're both on board. It would just be a time thing. So both of us have a lot of commitments, and I think that that's a big thing, is maintaining all those commitments and not starting something new if we can't really see it through, because it would require a fair bit of time. Last 24 hours, what else has changed? That's about it. Those are the big ones. We had a blockbuster sales day yesterday on the books account. I don't know what happened. Somebody turned the on switch on and it just, boom, sales exploded. So that was incredible. And yeah, we got to get ourselves supplied with some stuff. We have probably 10,000 pieces of inventory ahead of us that could still go up. That will get us close to the 30,000 listings mark, but that's our buffer. That's our buffer that's always sat here. And the fact that we have to go into our buffer because we're experiencing a little bit of supply chain disruption, we don't like that. So we have a tax bill we have to pay by the end of the month. That's fine. That will get paid. And then we just keep moving forward. But I feel good about everything. I feel on, basically locked in. Like I really feel good. So things are moving forward. Let's get into the numbers, everyone. The numbers. There are 2 List Easier accounts that are currently live. List Easier _records, List Easier _books. List Easier _books is the active account. But since we have to jump into our inventory, that is our buffer inventory, it's going to flip to records probably this week or next week, where List Easier records will be the more active account. So that's happening right now. We have a total of 18,658 listings. We've done that in 79 days. Total amount listed, $489,881.75. Why is this number lower than yesterday? Because we didn't complete any listings yesterday and we had blockbuster sales yesterday, which is why our revenue number is up to $31,941.43. Awesome. 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 This purchase, if it were to go through, would, let me go through this. So this, I think I called this podcast Epic Dealmaking. I want to tell you guys what's all in the pipeline here right now. The deal, the big buyout from yesterday, would potentially bring in $40 million worth of inventory. So that would commit us to $40 million worth of listed inventory. There's that. We have approximately 75 pallets of inventory that we are already committed to. The problem is that inventory is coming to us very slowly. So we have 3 pallets paid for and the shipping ready to go, and it's disrupted. It's taking too long to get here. So we have the 40 million potentially, the 70 pallets, which, that's a good $5 million worth of inventory there. We have a deal that is going to close in May, most likely. That's another $600,000 or $700,000 worth of inventory. So all these things right now. There's another one. I have to call him today at 2:00. There's another one. It's like old ephemera. That's probably another $250,000 worth of listings. All this stuff is out there, but nothing is landing, which is creating this inventory kind of gap. So epic deal making right now. And as Super Dave said yesterday, all this stuff is going to hit at once. And are we going to have the room to process it all when it comes at the same time? So we've already discussed 10 by 40 units where we can stage this inventory, basically take it off the skit and load up 10 by 40 units or 10 by 30 units with inventory, and then bring it here five skits at a time and start processing it. So it's a big, huge change. This is like, if something like this were to go through that niche, it would have a marked impact on the niche. The niche would be, you guys all know who this business is that we're negotiating with. So whether or not it happens, I don't know. It really has to be worth it for us, but all these opportunities you can't pass up, but nothing is landing right now when we need it. And it was lined up so that everything would be working, but everything got delayed at the same time. So this is kind of where we're at. And when I talk about buying inventory, like even 1,000 pieces or 1,500 pieces, it's not enough for us. We have to get 10,000 pieces plus. 1,000 pieces can get listed in a day for us. So we need 1,000 plus. Like we're shooting or 10,000 plus, 50,000 pieces, 100,000 pieces. That's kind of where we're shooting for. That's what we're looking for. We don't want to get a car full. We want to have, a truck full, as in either a tractor trailer or a U-Haul or something along those lines. That'll keep us rolling. So this stuff might all hit at the same time. We'll see what happens. But, I'm charged because everything is working. Everything is working. We just need it to come in. And the one big buy, if it goes through again, would be, and I don't know that it will, so this isn't me saying 100% this is going to go through, but that's something that we could fully automate the process. So we could use agentic systems for most of the listing, and even the uploading, the listing, the photos, everything could be fully automated. So it's something that could just almost be operating in the background autonomously. So it's ideal, but does it work for us? Lou Coyne says, I guess I was first. Good to see you, Lou. Eric Gunta says, second. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Good to see you, Eric. Welcome. Lucky Fine says, good morning. Third, good morning to you. M. Cole says, good morning, all. Good morning to you, M. Cole. Welcome. Missy B says, good morning. I don't think he knows he is live. Dave Harrington says, what's up, dude? Dave, the dude, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. David Varner says, hello. Good to see you. Record Crate Adam says, hello, Josh. I hope all is swell with you. All is well and swell. I hope all is well with you, Adam. It's good to see you. 6x6 says, share some of that goodness with me. I'm coming off vacation too, so I'm really ready to hit this. I knew it was going to be busy. So taxes is a big thing right now. It's just requiring a lot of interaction and bookkeeping and everything else. You got to remember we have thousands and thousands of customers and all those transactions and everything, all the taxes associated with that and international money and all this other stuff and Forex losses and all this stuff is happening. So it is complicated, but so it's a lot of work. I knew this was going to happen coming back. Plus I have to do my own personal income tax. Plus the business needs inventory. I knew this was waiting for me. I purposely enjoyed myself on vacation, knowing that we were, all of us, it's not just me, but all three of us co-founders were going to have to deal with this in a week's time. So prepared and ready to go, and we're going to chew through it. Scott the Bearded Picker says, didn't you send out an email preaching consistency? I'm consistent, baby. We're consistent, baby. Kenneth Oro says, what's a fair price to promote listings for your type of inventory? Just an estimate is fine. And good morning. Good morning, Kenneth. I mean, it's really up to you all what you want to promote your listings for, or what you want to promote your listings at. I can tell you I don't actually have the answer for that on our accounts, the List Easier accounts. I don't know. But for my own personal account, I used to promote, I think it's 10.7. And I might have reduced that below that when I essentially stopped listing on that account. So up until September, it was around 10.7. I have no idea what it is now. 5.4, 6 point something. I don't really remember. I lowered it though. But I've tried it all on my own personal account. I've promoted as high as 20%, 25%. The difference for me between 25% promoted and 10% promoted was nothing. I think I actually even had more sales at 10% promoted. So you really have to just do what works for you, I think. But I do think it is pay to play. So if you want to get those top spots, you gotta kick some money upstairs to the boss, unfortunately. Alexis, hello, good to see you. Lag, welcome, welcome. Dave the dude says you got an electric pallet jack because you're gonna need one with all those pallets. We've got a forklift, Dave, right there. You can kind of see it. So that's a forklift there. That's the arm of the forklift. And then the body is right there. So we have a forklift. We have a couple of pump jacks, not electric, but some pump jacks here. So we're able to deal with it. We just need it to come in. And that is used also for this stuff. This stuff is all private label, so that stuff gets moved with this forklift too. I'm like using the cursor to show you, but that doesn't work for you. Andy Reno says, good afternoon, Mr. Galt. Listening at the gym. Good to see you, Andy. Welcome, welcome. JR Roda says, better late than never. Good to see you, JR. Welcome, welcome. Landshark Picker says, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Dave the Dude says, you can't use a forklift in storage. You mentioned 10 by 40s. Well, I guess we'll have to use liftgate and pallet jack if it doesn't fit in there or if they don't want us using it. The other option we have, Dave, is that we have a cross-border warehouse. So any purchases that we make in the United States, we can temporarily store at a cross-border warehouse at $50 a month, I believe. They'll store it for us. So if we're not ready to accept inventory, we can store for $50 a month. Now, that will add up pretty quick, but it's an emergency option for us as well. John JUK says, hey, Josh, finally catching a live. My consistency has been all over the place recently. You're not the only one, John. That's why I sent out that email because, we notice it from our end, and it really felt weird, John, because I was gone for a week. And you feel disconnected. Like I was doing my lives, but you feel disconnected because you're not in your warehouse. You're not in with the operations. You're not talking to your people, and you're not making deals and on the phone, and like all that stuff wasn't happening. So I felt very disconnected. But I also noticed that usage became very inconsistent. So if you look at our user base and the amount of data leaving the site, it's consistent. It's just kind of consistently going like that. But in the last week, we saw down like very inconsistent usage. So I think you're not the only one. And that's why I sent out that email. I know some people are giving up, and I know some people are inconsistent, but just keep going, because I don't know if it had anything to do with it, but you see on YouTube and people are talking about how there's glitches and things aren't showing up in search, and all these things are most likely true, or they are true. Like people are showing it on their screens. It is happening. But I just wanted to send the message of, hey, stay consistent. Now's your time to just keep going. If you have the stuff, keep going. If you don't have the stuff, yeah, take a break, get more stuff, and keep going, or whatever you need to do with your business. But being inconsistent it just kills the gains. The best way I can kind of state it, John, is you have someone who lists in a burst and then they stop. And then they list in a burst and then they stop. And the inventory, they list, sells, and then they stop for a bit, and they list and they sell and it stops, and they list and it sells and it stops. But the direction is flat. It's a plateau. It's a horizontal line. You don't get any growth whatsoever. Whereas if you list consistently, if you operate in a consistent manner, you'll have this continuous line of growth. And consistency wins every single time. It's a lot like running. So someone who sprints himself to exhaustion in a day and then takes 2 weeks off and then does it again in 2 weeks, their level of progress might be a lot less than someone who is consistently working towards something over like a 4-day period, taking 1 day off, 4-day period, 1 day off. So consistency over intensity every single time, in my opinion. We are consistent with this. We're consistent with this broadcast, with the document, with List Easier artificial intelligence. And I think that has really been the winning formula for us. Where we're seeing inconsistency is our dependence on our suppliers. And that can really disrupt things because we have employees and the employees are paid very well because we want good people to stay with us and be part of the team. But with that being the case, we got to keep this stuff coming in. So if there's a failure in the supply chain, that's on us. That's on me. That's my fault. That's us collectively as owners. We're not doing our job. Landshark Picker says, good morning or good evening, whatever it may be. Good to see you, Craig. Welcome, welcome. Grams and Pops Vintage says, did someone say promoted listings? Happy Tuesday, everyone. It was Silver Hair Stacker says Craig. I knew it, says Corey. Corey is the co-founder of Promo Nomo, which is a software that optimizes your promoted listings so that you don't overpay or underpay for promoted listings. Lucky Fine says, I got my coworker on board with List Easier. Yeah, List Easier is it's pretty incredible. And on that note, Lucky Finds, huge shout out to one of the members of our community now who is buying a house, purchasing a house. Talk to them over email. Huge congratulations to Ryan. Ryan, congrats. Purchasing a house is such a huge thing. So that's like, again, telling you, man, List Easier's changing lives. So congrats, Ryan, for purchasing your house. That's absolutely incredible. And it's a huge, huge milestone. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Keep grinding. Huge win there. Diane Vanderlinden says, hello. Good to see you, Diane. Welcome, welcome. Missy B says, my listings are down because we are moving the inventory to a new place. Sales are down, way down from last month, but still up from last year. I am ready to get back to it. I will be done on Wednesday. Sometimes, though, Missy, and I agree with you here, you can see your own bottlenecks. So if things are disorganized or you don't have enough space or the working space that you're in is not working for you, and you can't grow past a certain point because of those constrictions or restrictions, sometimes you have to take a little bit of time, step away, fix the thing that's wrong, and then you can lean into it. And it's short-term pain for long-term gain. Definitely. So we've experienced that here as well. I think for us, there are times where we just have to step back and really take a look at things and be like, hey, how can we optimize this? How can we maximize this? And sometimes it requires a little bit more money up front and a little bit more time, but in the long run, it pays in spades. So I get it. Where Pigs Fly Farm, Cindy says, I'm guilty, been inconsistent. I've been an inconsistent lister. However, I'm going through old listings, reducing prices and replacing descriptions with AI descriptions, helping them sell. Yeah, and I think part of it too is, this is the hard part because when List Easier first came out, it was exciting. Like, it's this new thing, it's exciting, but once the excitement kind of goes away and you're like, this is just infrastructure. This is infrastructure that helps me make more money, do things like buy a house and increase your income, everything else. But once it becomes that, it's not as exciting. So the kind of, it's just like a boring routine of thing that you do over and over and over again. This is the hard part a lot of times because there's no one motivating you every day. Like, you got to do this. You're held to your own account. So I think that makes it very difficult for a lot of people to stay consistent because that motivating factor is gone. You make some sales, you get comfortable. I talked to Corey yesterday, and what him and I were saying is a lot of people use this as a cash lever. So you have 200 or 300 items, you list them, you get this money coming in and then you take a break. And Corey was saying he knows people like that. And then once the money is gone, you do it again. And then you take a break. And then the money's gone, you do it again, you take a break, and you're using it as a cash lever. So you go to the cash lever only when you need money. Whereas if it was a consistent thing, month after month after month, you would be seeing increased cash flow. You would be seeing dramatic growth over a year's time. So taking your, the good thing is with the AI listing software is it allows you to do these things without the stress and pressure of having to list it all yourself. Like the software does it for you, but then you have to utilize it as well. You can't do it for a day and then not do it for 2 weeks and then do it for a day. That's treating it like a cash lever or a relief lever. So I feel overwhelmed. I have all this stuff I have to list. You run it through the process, you feel relief, and then you wait until that pile builds again, and then you use it as a relief lever. It works as a cash lever, it works as a relief lever, but truly if you want to build a business, not everybody wants to, of course. Some people just want to use it as cash lever or relief lever, but if you want to build a business, consistency is the way. And Scott and Primo have proved that, really, because they've seen exceptional growth over just a few months' time. Quirky Picker Chad says, ahoy, good to see you. Record Crate says, hey, Craig, check your Instagram. Lucky Fine says, congratulations on the house. Keep it pushing. Oh, it's huge. That's a huge life milestone, being able to purchase a house, especially in this day and age, because I don't know where everybody lives, but where I live, houses are insane. The cost of a house is insane. Missy B says, when you said early on that all of our processes would have to be reevaluated, I didn't believe you. I was wrong, and everything is having to change everything. Missy B, this is a really good point. And this is something that Alex Hormozy has said. And this is not an original thought to him. I don't know who said this before him, but essentially you can grow your business to the point where your processes break, and then you have to reinvent a new process or rebuild a new process in order to keep growing. So a great example is I put things away when I list them. I don't use a SKU system because I remember where everything goes. If you have 100 or 200 items, that might work. But eventually, you are going to break that process, because as you grow, you won't remember absolutely everything, and it's going to cost you so much time looking things up and trying to find them that you will have to create the new process or the SKU system or the inventory system. So that's an example of a process breaking and having to be rebuilt. Using List Easier software, you can scale your business so quickly that you will find that your previous processes will all break. They have to be reinvented. So organizationally, things have to change. Your packing and shipping might have to change, whereas maybe you did it once every 3 days. You can't do that anymore. Maybe you have to do it once a day or even twice a day packing. Maybe how you queue up items. So if you're not queuing up your items, like let's say you're doing books one day, stuffed animals the next day, women's skirts the next day, if you're not queuing up inventory like that, you may find that it's taking too much time to process this inventory. So you have to change that process so that you are doing it that way. So something like this kind of software, it allows you to scale so quickly that you have to essentially build new systems, as you mentioned, Missy. And I say that because that's the same with me too, us too. Like we had to rebuild our systems, how we purchase inventory. It no longer makes sense to go hunting for items. We have to purchase in bulk now because it's scaling so rapidly. As you can see, $32,000 in 79 days. So for many people, $32,000 is that's a yearly gross income for many people. It's been done in less than 3 months. So it can scale very rapidly, but it will test your existing processes. But that's okay, because we're not married to our processes. If our processes break, we say, thank you. You brought us to this point. I've learned a lot from that process. It's time for a new one. This stationary camera is another good example of doing it with an iPhone. It was just taking too long. It was turning into an opportunity cost. So the overhead stationary camera, now it allows us to process listings much faster and make more money. So that process broke too of using this. Rob Special Interest says, hello, Josh and the reseller family. Good to see you, Rob. Welcome, welcome. In it to flip, it says, so true about working on optimizing other areas. I've taken almost a week reorganizing my small home to make room for organized inventory, optimizing every space without looking like a hoarder. Yeah, I think, and again, that's an example of old systems breaking. So all that would have been manageable when you were processing inventory at a certain pace, but once you process at an elevated or increased speed, now things have to change. So I agree with Pete. I know it's a step. It happens in stages, but Pete Craigslist Hunter has always said that work hard to move your business out of your house. And I agree with that. It was something that I worked on as well. It's something that we have here, not having those two worlds colliding. I do believe it's a step. You don't start there, but definitely working on getting inventory out of the house is, it's a bit of a relief. Honestly, you can get away from it, I should say. Todd Silverhair Stacker says, howdy. Good to see you, Todd. Scott says, I feel like you're preaching to me. I let my consistency slip over the last 2 weeks and it shows. Started rereading Atomic Habits and back to systems. Yeah, it's when it gets boring. So I see it. Like I feel it almost, but when it's a new, exciting, shiny thing, that's when it's like, boom, like this is awesome. I can't believe it. And then it's kind of like Niagara Falls. I take the Niagara Falls waterfall for granted. Sometimes when I cross the bridge, I don't even look that way. The thing is, Niagara Falls is a wonder of the world. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It's fantastic. But it's easy to just forget that and you just kind of move past it. This is kind of the same thing, but this is really where you're getting put to the test, where you let it slip and you slow down, even though you have the processes and everything in place, you just start doing other things. You're losing ground, but not everybody is. There are others who are just continuing and not killing yourself, but just the 4 hours a day or whatever. There are others who keep going. So by, slowing down or stopping or just losing focus, there's a gap that widens. The other thing that I want to say, Scott, because this is a good point, over the past few months, and Scott knows this, we've talked about this privately, but we've been signing enterprise clients. These are existing larger businesses, and they've started adopting the software. They think differently. So enterprise level clients don't require external motivation. They are happy to operate boring processes over and over and over again, as long as it's generating consistent growth and income. So, originally the goal here was we bring this community, and the community is going to catch those kind of businesses. But in order to do that, it requires that steady, boring, you keep going every single day. You clock in and you clock out, even if it's just 4 hours a day. Enterprise does not miss a beat. This is what they do. Businesses that have already 10 or 20 or $30 million of inventory, to list or whatever the case may be, they just work at it. People are paid to keep processing, or they do it themselves, or whatever the case may be, and it just keeps going. That's what it is. It's a business is a process. But I think a big thing is they don't require external motivation. They understand that it has compounding growth or steady growth over time. And that's, I think, where people struggle sometimes. It's just easy to get preoccupied with other things and forget that we are in this window of asymmetry right now where we have the upper hand. So we should be utilizing it, because there will come a time where we no longer have the upper hand. And the moves you make now will have outsized effects later on down the line. So they will provide outsized returns down the line. But this window closes at some point. Kenneth Oro says, I think this pay-per-click placement has negatively impacted my sales. I need to rethink my inventory. Sales have dropped. Kenneth, that is true. Pay-per-click is getting the top placement. I saw that eBay now wants to test pay-per-click videos so that they get top feed placements as well. The thing is, Kenneth, with optimization, you're still getting top spots offsite. They can't stop that from happening, and they won't. So even if on-site, you need to use pay-per-click to get top spots or whatever, or they're playing with how things are indexed or the surfaceability and discoverability of items and how that relates to promoted. If they're doing all that, that's fine. We can still optimize for offsite. So, and there are things going, I mean, gas is almost doubled in many places. There's lots going on, but at the end of the day, we can't wait for better conditions. We have to just keep moving forward. Yesterday we had like a $1,500 day on the books account. Today it's very slow. It is what it is. We see the Golden Palace. Look at the horizon and see the Golden Palace, and just keep working towards it. Since 5 years ago, it's been one thing after another. Higher interest rates, shops are closed down, thrift stores too expensive, customers don't have any money, there's a war here, there's a war there, there's fighting on the streets between this political faction and that political faction. Like, this never ending things that are going on. But if you were to look back over the past 5 years to now, and you ask yourself a question, over the past 5 years, the people who remain consistent and focus on their business, are they outperforming those who only worked when conditions were optimal? Who is performing the best? It's consistent people every step of the way. Yeah, Lou says 100% move your business out of home, build a warehouse. Yeah, I think Dave said nothing is more permanent than a temporary solution. I agree with that. So, when I first moved down into Niagara Falls, New York, it's I call it a pack and play, but it's like you have like a place where you can go to the washroom and there's a little sink and stuff, and then the rest was a roll up door with a little warehouse, tiny one. But that was very temporary. That was supposed to be temporary, and I just never moved from it until I took the big leap. And it really took tariffs to make me jump and say that that's it, I'm done with this. But it's hard because you keep cramming things into a system that is expired. And for a lot of people, that's their house. Like, you can find a little bit more room, put another thing there, but at the end of the day, that this thing is a constraint that you have to overcome. And moving the business out of the house, if you can afford to do that, and if you have the option, it is, if you do it properly. So if you can get a 10 by 30 or 10 by 40 unit for $300 a month, and not everyone can, but if you can, just making that jump, you should be able to pay for that unit within the first month if you do it correctly. So moving it out of the house, I agree. It's a big step. It's something that Pete said as well. And it for peace of mind, it really does a lot. In its flip, it says, I agree about getting out of the house. I used to have a storage unit and I just used it to store inventory and that was not listed. Bad plan for me. I'll build to it again with a new plan. Yeah, exactly. And that's the discipline for sure in it to flip it. And I did the same thing. So I had a storage unit. There were times where I had multiple storage units, but I had a storage unit where I would put car seats in there, hockey equipment, golf equipment, the kids' sleds for sledding in the winter. And before you know it, I'm like, this is just turning into personal storage. Now it is just another cost, another expense. So it is hard, but you have to remain disciplined for sure. Woody says, Hi, Josh. Can you share the model type camera your company uses? I'm in the market for an upgrade for my iPhone. My systems need this bottleneck solved. Thank you. It is a Canon Rebel T3i. Canon Rebel T3i with a newer, is Neewer, camera rail. So it's a stand that sits up and it's on a rail and it allows you to adjust up and down. J.R. Rutherford says, I would build a custom oversized 3-car garage with a second floor, but my future robo-taxi business will need that capital. So I'm optimizing my 3-car with 12-foot ceilings. A garage, honestly, is almost like a separate outbuilding. If you can walk through that garage and that's where your business is, and you walk through the door the other way and it's gone, you know what? That I think is pretty much I'm going to argue that fits the model. Kenneth Oro says, I like what you say about offsite, Josh. You're right. Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate you. Mike Seller says, hello, Josh and chat. Not sure if this is allowed. Please keep my mom in your thoughts and prayers. She is getting close to the end of her journey. Thank you. Mike, I'm sorry to hear that. I understand the pain of that. So your mom is in our thoughts and prayers. And if she is passing, I wish her a safe and peaceful passing with your family close by. So I'm very, very sorry to hear that. Craig says, my parents are getting older and I'm not prepared for that time. It's hard, Craig. It's very hard. John J says, I agree on changing processes. I'm rebuilding all mine so I can hit the ground running for when the UK relaunch lands. And that is very, very close, John J. UK. Very, very close. When I first started, I started like everyone else. I started in a closet in the spare bedroom, basically. And that very quickly moved to downstairs and then to storage units and then to storage units and a place across the border. And it was just, it grew quickly, but part of it is the real estate is so expensive where I live that what I really needed was gonna be like $6,500 a month, and I was not in a position to pay that at that time. But with all that growth came systems updates and process updates. And I got to be honest, Super Dave has been doing this a lot longer than I have. His warehouse and processes are very refined. He's learned a lot. He's been doing it for longer, so he knows more, and really adopting a lot of his processes have really grown the business. Simple little things like not using an iPhone can double or triple or quadruple your productivity. What does that mean? Well, at the end of the day, that means 4 times the income or 2 times the income down the line. Using artificial intelligence to list items that can 10x your productivity. What does that mean? That could mean 10x the revenue down the line. So all of this is new. The AI thing is new. It's in its infancy. It's 7 or 8 months old. I say less than 1% of eBay sellers use it. Of those, I would say 1% of that 1% use it consistently. So it's just a time right now where disciplined, consistent sellers are going to reap massive, huge gains. Um, like Ryan, he's buying a house. Um, that that comes from consistency. Josh Graff says the garage for me is like a separate building. I agree, Josh, 100%. It is physically attached to the house, but at the end of the day, I shut the door and I leave the garage behind. 100% agree. 100% agree. That's where you go in and that's where you work. And when the garage, because you're growing very quickly as well, but when that garage becomes no longer viable, we don't mourn like, oh, the garage, I need to have it. We just are like, okay, systems have to change now. I grew as far as this will go in the garage, and now it's time to move it over here. And I think that's healthy and that's responsible growth when those things happen. So we're here now where I'm telling you all, there's 70 skits committed. I don't think 70 skits will fit in here. So this is a conversation we're having as well. Like, hey, how are we looking to do this moving forward? Because getting this stuff listed, the revenue is excellent, or will continue to be excellent. It's good stuff, but we got to get it here. And then, do we have the room? How does this growth look? How is this going to look moving forward? We're not in the position yet where we can build a second building, although that would be nice. So storage units are most likely in our future. Although the place across the road is for sale and there's a huge warehouse there. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if I could personally buy that, rent it out, and then we could use the warehouse for the business. Thoughts. Serious thoughts. Dave! Dave, where are you? Lag says hearts to Kenneth. But I think Lag meant to Mike Seller. Just clicked the wrong one. Lucky Finds is sending prayers to Mike Seller. John JUK says, it's the cash flow that's holding me back from really pushing forward, but it will come. It takes time. Yeah, John J, it takes time. We've noticed it ourselves. I'm telling you, when the day that we switched over from above standard to top rated, which happened to us after the 90-day period on the first account, sales spiked on that account. So it does take time, of course. That is also responsible. But let's say many of you, or a lot of you, are experiencing significant growth over the past 7 months. If you look at your year over year, take a look at where you are. So you go to your performance tab on eBay, you look at where you are year over year, and let's say you're up 30, 40, 50, 100%, primo 200 and something percent. It's only been 7 months or 8 months. What does that look like in a year? What does that look like in 2 years, 3 years? What does that growth look like? There's an incredible amount of opportunity for sure. So cash flow is a temporary constraint. It does have to be managed because cash flow will sink a business, but it is a temporary constraint for a growing business. It is a permanent constraint for a shrinking business, but it is a temporary constraint for a growing business. Often when your business is growing, it requires a lot of reinvestment, which leaves you flat broke. And then over the next few months, you see the return from that, which gives you the windfall to reinvest, and you have that reinvestment cycle. Scott was talking about that as well, where he says, I don't really feel like things have changed, even though I'm making so much more money. Well, that's because he's reinvesting in his business. It takes you to a point where I kind of got to where I stopped listing in September, and this thing is still paying me $3,000 a month or so, or $3,000 a week, or $2,500 a week. That's in Canadian dollars on my WHS store. I haven't listed there in like 6-7 months. But because of all that front-loaded investment, it will continue to pay me until I fully wind it down. But cash flow in a growing business is a temporary constraint, and it is important that you correctly deploy capital so you don't get yourself into a position where you're over constrained. Andy Reno says, looks like we're going to start stacking for high. Stacking for high. I don't know what that means. Where Pigs Fly Farm says, great idea, buying the building. Yeah, I mean, the problem here, Cindy, is that everything is so expensive that, like, would the rent be able to cover the building? This is just a random thought I had in my head, but I saw that place is for sale. So, Retired with Book says, hey, List Easier is the reason my business has 3x'd over last year at the same time. Learned a new advantage for List Easier recently. I could take 20 minutes to research something so I could list it before. Now it's just seconds. Totally. So Retired with Books is saying their business in a year's time has grown 300%. So Retired with Books, what does that look like next year or the year after? When you start extrapolating that growth out, this starts turning into a serious money generator. And I think the best part about it, Retired with Books, is that most people aren't doing this. So it's not like everyone is doing this. It's just a small handful. If there are 16 million sellers on eBay, I don't know if that's the number. Liz Morton and I were kind of going back and forth on this a little bit about what the actual number is, because we don't know, because it's not published. But if 5,000 people are using the software List Easier, between 4 and 5,000, that's a small fraction of 16 million or 10 million or whatever the number is. So the majority of people on the platform are seeing declining sales and they don't understand why. The minority are seeing what you're seeing, a 300% increase year over year, or what Primo is seeing, 250% increase year over year, or what Scott is seeing, like thousands of percent year over year. But that's a small minority, so that is your competitive advantage. The majority are experiencing losses. They see the losses, they feel the pain, they don't understand why. They're not watching this program. They're not one of the 300 people watching this. They don't understand what's going on, but they see the result. So in their mind, it's eBay. Not showing my items. It's another glitch. It's this, that, and the other thing. They don't realize the entire game has changed. That the optimized listings are surfacing to the top, and everyone else has to fight for page 4 or 3. Like, everything's changed now. We'll lose that advantage eventually, but it's not now, and it's probably not going to be in the next few years. It will take years. We have it now, so let's use it. Lucky Fine says, I've been noticing that my inventory before List Easier is not selling and the List Easier listings are. Yeah, so I personally believe in letting those sell through attrition, because eventually promoted listings will surface those to the top and they will sell. So in my opinion, just let that stuff do its thing. The more you touch it, the more expensive it gets. But those listings never were optimized for surfaceability, searchability, for the new AI environment, offsite, all these other things. So you're seeing List Easier listings sell because they're getting good placement offsite on Google. People are finding it, they're buying it, it's doing well on the platform itself. So you've got all these advantages. Everything else fights for below the fold, 2, 3 pages, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. You really got to capture the sorting lowest to highest or whatever, but best match is going to the best listings. They're just easier for the search algorithms to find. So I think a lot of people are noticing that, but I would not recommend that anyone goes back over their old inventory and makes their old listings more expensive. I would let those all go through attrition. And then once there is a recycling tool available to everybody, then you can start having that conversation of whether or not you want to regenerate those listings. But I just let them die through attrition, let them sell over time. Because promoted listings will pull them back in. You got to remember, like, promoted listings, those top spots go to promoted listings. So eventually they'll pick yours and put it at the top and it will have a shot. James Helferstay says, "Good day, peeps. Good day to you, James. Welcome, welcome." Luke Coyne says, "Buy that warehouse, Josh." I would not be surprised, Lou, if that property is probably like $2 million because there's a bit of acreage. It could be even more than that. If it was like 300,000 or 350,000, I'd be on it. But the cost of real estate here is some of the highest in the world. So the Greater Toronto Area, the GTA, it's called, it's some of the most expensive real estate in the world, especially when you compare it to incomes. So to me, the real estate itself is not a great investment, but the outbuildings would be. They're quite large, the outbuildings there. In its flip, it says, "I'm wondering how much eBay is now pushing older 3+ month listings down in search, especially the lower viewed items. I have no proof, but some of the things they are now doing seem to point to it." I think that eBay itself is not hiding or choosing not to show certain listings. You really got to look at how things are searched for. So if there are 2 billion items on eBay, and I don't know if that's the case, the search side algorithm, which is largely AI driven now, needs to pull up listings in like 0.3 seconds. So it needs to populate in like 0.3 seconds. So it goes to all the servers and it finds the listings. It's just easier for it to sort and filter listings that are optimized to be found by the thing that is searching and filtering for it. So old listings, if they are not optimized, they just can't be found unless it's extremely unique. They just will never surface to the top. When you start doing things like saying that the top spot or the top 3 spots go to pay per click, all these things just keep edging other listings down. So let's say you're just, and this goes back to Kevin's gatekeeping theory. Let's say you don't use artificial intelligence. You just do it your own way. You do it yourself. You don't pay promoted listings. So now you have non-optimized listings. Maybe you're selling common items. You don't do pay per click. You don't do promoted listings. Like none of those 4 things. How do your items get shown? They don't get indexed offsite. So you're not getting good placement offsite, number 1. You are not surfacing high on eBay. So the only way to really sell is to be the lowest price. But is that really what you want to do, is compress your own margins? So it puts everybody else in a more difficult place. So you have someone like Retired with Books saying, "I'm up 300% year over year. I can't believe it. This is incredible. And I have more time and blah, 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 blah." But that comes at somebody else's cost, because someone else who is also selling books might be saying, "I'm not getting any sales and I haven't changed a thing since last year." And, they don't understand why. Like, why have I not got sales? I haven't done anything different. I'm working my butt off. They don't understand what's changed here. They only see the result. So for many people, that's going to look like eBay's hiding my listings, or it's not being fair to me, or they're trying to force me to promote even more. That's not what's going on here. It's the way search works and the way items are indexed have changed. They've changed, and I don't think it's going back. Kaloop says, "Thank you for these consistent streams, Josh. Good luck with the document." Thank you, Kaloop. Appreciate you. Lucky Finds says, "Thank you to List Easier." I appreciate you, Lucky Finds, as always. Corey says, "So you're saying the real issue is that you need to move south a smidge?" Yeah, either I got to move south or the border's got to move north. Both are possible at this point. I say that in jest. I love Canada. It's a great country. John the Automator says, "What kind of stand are you using for your EOS Rebel?" This is a newer stand. So it's called NEEWER. It is a camera rail. So the newer camera rail, NEEWER. I believe it is aluminum, painted aluminum black. I think it's on eBay or on eBay or Amazon, I believe. But search NEEWER. And there is this is a screw down I don't know, camera holder. So the camera itself screws into it, and then it can slide down the rail, and the rails on the side adjust up and down. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining me today on day 79. Got to get this number to 500,000. We're almost there, and I feel like we're in the mud right now. We can't move forward, but that's going to change very soon. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining me, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.